Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by TheLines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. We got play props here on a Friday for you guys, closing out the work week. Also got best bets up in a separate episode, looking at some sides and totals here on Friday. So make sure to subscribe to that page and continue to follow along. Check both of these episodes out each and every weekday this season. A little 2-2 last night. We obviously didn't see AD play, but he's going to play tonight. So let's go ahead and kick things off here with a talk about the Brow.
Yeah, I mean, I can blame him for the Lakers not getting 3 more points for that best bet there because he was kind of a surprise scratch. I mean, he's listed questionable every single game, so when he doesn't actually play,
right,
it is a bit of a surprise. But you'd think they sat him last night because they didn't need him against Portland, and now he's ready to roll here against the Hawks, a very vulnerable Hawks defense, and he averages 30 on 2 days rest this season, also averages 12.6 boards and 5 dimes. So if you want to add anything to this, I'm saying 26.5 points, considering a small ladder at 30 plus is plus 175. Or if you want to add like rebounds here, no problem with it. Atlanta's playing at the second fastest pace since the NBA Cup break. So certainly should be rebounding opportunities. AD did go 38, 10, and 8 in Atlanta a month ago, and he is much more effective at home here in the JJ Redick era. 28 a game versus 24 on the road. Offensive rating is 21 points higher at home. He's now shooting 60% and averaging 28 in his last 4 against Clint's Caucus. Can we call the Hawks that? In the sense that they are not defending centers at all, allowing the second most points to that position. With that matchup against AD thrown in there, it would have been nice if they had Larry Nance to throw at AD. They do not. He's out definitely, and Jalen Johnson is even questionable here, which would certainly hurt your interior D. Atlanta also like about average allowing free throws on the season, but 7th most on the road and like 7th fewest at home. So that is going to be huge here. AD could have a parade to the line. The Lakers are depending on those free throws, and what we got to mention Austin Reeves, because it's just like eventually you're going to get caught with your hand in the cookie jar here. And does he get the Dyson Daniels treatment tonight and is forced to like come back down to earth here after just being a free money handout for like 5 straight games? That is why he's not leading player props and why we're going with AD.
I like it. I like AD. Let me make sure Dyson's not off the injury report. Yeah, he's off the injury report, so that's huge. Yeah, he's gonna get the Dyson Daniels treatment. Does that just mean more assists though? If anything, right? Like I last night I hit the RA. I hit it at 10.5. Then AD was ruled out. I hit it at 12.5 for plus money. I hit it at 13.5. Nate, I was not scared. This man had 13 RA at the half. Yeah. All right, different scenario. You're gonna eventually, like, yesterday's price ain't today's price, as Stringer Bell tells us from The Wire. So it's not like we can just keep buying yesterday's price. So it's gonna get crazy high. We're gonna see this man with a 14.5 RA and be like, who does this guy think he is? Jason Tatum with 14.5 rebounded assist lines, but we'll see. I think AD is a smart play here because it does feel a little bit like a your turn, my turn scenario. LeBron did have to make sure that he handled business last night alongside the point guard, Austin Reeves, with his 11 dimes. And now I think point guard Austin Reeves will be feeding AD a little bit more. And probably those assists going to LeBron because the ball ain't coming out his hands that much. It's just going into Austin's a little bit more. But yeah, very interesting times here in LA. And I'm really liking what the direction of this team, even though they barely beat the Blazers last night. But also, just a quick note, Toumani Camara was a miss last night. 2 rebounds were taken away from him. That would have gotten us over 5.5 or plus 120. 2 rebounds, Nate. You know how frustrating it is to look at him and be like, great, he's got 5. I need 1 more. He gets 1 more and he's still got 5 because they took 1 away. So I love you, stat keepers. Maybe do better. But let me go over here to Malik Beasley. We mentioned him in player prop or best bets rather. And I think, yeah, we got to at least get in on some of this Jaden Ivey missing action here, right? So Malik Beasley, I got this 14.5 last night. You can still get it 15.5. I'm not even going to be a little bit shocked if this closes at 16.5. And that's about where I would take it, but I would not be taking that for worse than like minus 105, to be honest. I would get that as close to even money if you get up to 16.5 points. And I've got my reasons for the numbers here. Number one, I think his minutes are going to up. I mean, he's already playing 28, and I think he's going to up that to 32. But there's 30 minutes of like 31, 2 minutes of Jaden Ivey minutes on the floor to now spread around. So those are going to go mostly, I think, to Osar and to Ron Holland. Those will be the guys benefiting from the absence. But Malik Beasley only needs 4 more minutes to get up to 32, and he's already scoring 16 points per 28 minutes, right? So that's where we're at there. The thing about Beasley that I love is when he's going to, I don't think he's going to start. Like, I think they're still just going to keep him coming off the bench. I don't know if they care about the sixth man award or not. I think it's more just their offense and their bench offense is good, and is good because Malik Beasley is very, very good. Marcus Sasser is good. They've got the young weapons in the backcourt, the bench, to really be able to dominate most benches that aren't as good as them. And as a result, like, you keep Malik out there. So I love that, though, because Malik Beasley playing without Cade or Ivy on the floor this season in like 182 minutes is at 34 points per 36 minutes when he's playing without those guys. And it's because his usage rate is at about 32%. So that all adds up, right? He's taking all of the shots for the 8 to 9 minutes that he's on the floor per game without Cade and Jaden. Really good stuff. When he's playing with Cade, by the way, and without Jaden Ivey on the floor, he's also at about 18 per 36, right? So anything at 14 and a half is going to, or 15 and a half, is wonderful, wonderful value with a tremendous edge over that number to the over. And I'm really shocked that this number even came out as low as it did. I don't think I'm missing anything because I think it's pretty easy to read how Malik Beasley's been used in the 3 games without Jaden Ivey. He also did not come off. Oh, he came off the bench for 2 of the 3 without Jaden Ivey this season. But the one that he started was also because Cade was missing. So I'm just doing a little bit of the Texas work to go, Cade's here, Malik come off bench, Malik score 26 a game when he come off bench without Jaden Ivey. So I'm going to keep running with that tonight in a pretty good matchup here for Malik.
Yeah, I mean, the man has hit 5+ threes in 7 straight plus matchups, I guess you could say. It's a complete trend where it's just like Milwaukee, Boston, Orlando, 0 for 10. Everybody else in the league, he's just hitting 5+ threes. And the books are not fooled by the 0 for 4 against Orlando. It is like minus 150 for him to hit 4 here. And then all you need is a couple more points. So, exactly what you're saying. Give me a few more minutes, a few more opportunities, and he'll get there most likely. Same thing with Ausar Thompson. Over 8.5 rebounds and assists is plus 110. And you're getting a nice price here. You can pay the juice and go 7.5, but you're getting a good price because he's only done this once all season. Like, it's a betting the curve kind of bet, right? It's not looking at the game log and be like, this has a high hit rate. It's an expectation that Jaden Ivey is now out. This is only the 3rd time all year that Ausar has played without Ivy. He's only played 24 minutes a game in those first 2. But now, he's averaged 14, 5.5, and 2.5. Now we're definitely seeing a few more minutes, especially Fontecchio is out for personal reasons. So they would probably maybe share some of that role. True. And especially if LaMelo Ball goes or Brandon Miller, because they're going to need his defense on either of those guys. So I expect him to have one of his better games here on the season. He's also passed an injury that limited him earlier in the year, and he was starting to ramp up even with Ivy. He actually had more passes than Ivy and more potential assists in his last 2. Only got 1.5 actual assists on 5.5 potentials. So love that regression. You get serious plus money on the 3 dimes here against a Hornets team that is allowing the 3rd most assists and 2nd most rebounds to small forwards in the last couple of weeks. And Ausar did have 13 and 6 against the Hornets early last season when he got a full slate of minutes. And he's 3rd on the Pistons in rebound chances recently, 11.3 chances in just 22 minutes per game. He's the guy we call pogo sticks. He can certainly get up. He's going to be as good as anyone but a center here in terms of collecting those boards. And when he's actually been better when Cade's out there, just like as a complementary piece, right? Not even a secondary playmaker, but just like a 3-and-D, a new age 3-and-D guy, because the NBA, you don't just sit in the corner anymore and he can't shoot. So that's where we're getting these rebounds and assists, is because he's just an energy guy playing off Cade, gets 4.5 more minutes per game and about 2.5 more RA when Cade is active in their careers together. So like him here against the Hornets.
I think it makes sense for sure. I worry that Cade's going to get a ton of dimes against the Hornets just because they are sort of over pressuring the ball. They're sort of I guess it's still Charles Lee. It's still the same sort of defense that Boston plays in a way, not as good as Boston plays it, but it is it is a defense that is trying to limit the threes and the stuff on the outside as much as they can, limit the points to the ball handler. So that's the only thing that would make me nervous is the primary ball handler is going to be doing the bulk of the scoring. But also, if he's out there for 28 minutes, this is still going to be a low line. So this is all about just getting ahead, I think, like you said, of the math that's going to change for the Detroit Pistons once we see what things look like without Jaden Ivey. I mean, we were still getting like D'Lo and Cam Thomas really low numbers in Brooklyn as a comparison because it's just like a new lineup and they didn't know what to do with it. It's going to be a little bit new here, especially because Oscar hasn't played that many games. So yeah, I'm not worried about the hit rate up to this point, basically. But let me go over to CJ McCollum. Before I do and tell you why I'm betting over 21.5 points, I also really like Malik Beasley against the Thunder, Mikal Bridges, who is a completely different player than Malik Beasley. Mikal Bridges, I like against the Thunder. It's a little high at 18.5, and I need to see if Jalen Brunson is playing because I do think that's going to be correlated to Mikal getting some spot up looks in the corners. And I can't really go with that without the primary point guard because I also think this might be a blowout if Jalen Brunson doesn't play for OKC blowing them out. But so I'm going to go to a safer play, which is CJ McCollum against the poo-poo Washington Wizards defense. And I mean, look, I'm not like exactly talking, with any kind of admiration about the Pelicans defense or its ability to play basketball. It is 30th in the NBA right now with its record in the standings. So nothing to really write home about here. But what we're talking about for CJ is a defense that just is not good. I don't know what else to say. Like they're not actually that bad against like the pick and roll ball handler, and I get that, but they are pretty good against the spot up. And this is a CJ McCollum led offense, I guess, at this point. Like CJ's one of the dudes not scoring off of DeJounte Murray's assists, essentially. So if you look at him, I think the edge you're getting here is that when he plays, and we've got a lot of minutes now where it's Yves Missy, Trey Murphy, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Herb Jones, and that's your starting five. And we're going to get Jose Alvarado back for no more than 20 minutes, probably closer to 15 or 17. So you're going to continue to see this lineup play 18 minutes per game that this starting lineup plays together. That's third most in the league. A lot of other teams are matching their lineups a lot more than the Pelicans. Since they got CJ, DeJounte Murray back, Herb Jones, and Trey Murphy, they're obviously Willie Green is like, please just don't come off the floor. I can't bear to watch these backups play for New Orleans anymore like I have all season. So with that, I think you bank on CJ at 30. Honestly, his floor is 34 minutes for me tonight. Like I think he's closer to 38 in this one. I do think it'll be a little bit close. I know you were leading towards the Wiz to cover the 7. And let me put it this way. I wouldn't take your money, steal it from you, and bet on New Orleans. So I'm not going to trash the Wizards bet because there's zero scenarios on the planet in infinite universes where I would bet on the New Orleans Pelicans as 7-point favorites on the road. So let me tell you I believe that. But that only leads me to go, CJ is going to need to be out there for the 36 minutes he's been playing over the last 5, as this lineup has been intact entirely for the last 5. So I think he's going to be scoring up top where the Wizards are giving a ton up off the break, above the break rather, 27th, limiting above the break points, and really coming off of the pick and roll or really in the ISO. I think he's going to be totally fine with either probably Bub Carrington, and Bub Carrington, really good defender for a rook. CJ's about to take him to class as well. So I'm going to take him for the over 21.5.
Yeah, I mean, I can't call you a coward for not taking the Wizards because I'm not going to put my money on it either, but I think it's the right side. Really, the only thing that scared me off is just that the Pelicans got to be desperate to snap this, 10-game losing streak.
It's 11 now.
Yeah. 11 games, yeah, and they might do it here at home, and then they go to Washington in 2 days. So I don't know how these home and aways always shake out, but look, the Wizards have played basically only elite teams lately. I'm not saying that they are a good team, but they do have Brogdon and Kuzma back. They are a legitimate outfit with a couple players in there. And the Pelicans have been, just illegitimate on defense. So definitely like points and props on both sides. I mean, maybe we should have taken the over in this game in general, just because shouldn't be much defense played.
And that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Definitely want to make sure to subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along all season with us. Check out the best bets we have up alongside these each and every weekday. And until we see you next, happy betting.